middle school teacher here in the Vail School District, and I'm here to give you a presentation on engaging enrichment websites and platforms for early finishers. This was a presentation that was given during the professional development for the EdTech Half Day on August 23rd. The goal of this presentation is to help educators provide meaningful assignments with measurable impact for students. I know as an educator, it is really hard sometimes to plan an entire lesson expecting it to get us to the end of the class period, and 10 minutes, 15 minutes to the end of the class period, you have some of your higher level students, maybe some of your lower level students, so it's students of all variety, coming up to you saying, okay, I'm done, now what? So this presentation will hopefully kind of answer some of those questions and be able to provide you with something that is kind of your go-to for those students at all levels, to kind of give them those tailored opportunities to kind of further their education. Doesn't matter what level they're at. Okay, so as this presentation continues, this is the same presentation that I used during that EdTech day. So there's going to be some bell work, some activities that we're obviously not going to do because this is the recorded version. But as educators came in the classroom that day, this was up on the board. So I just asked them, how do you handle students who consistently finish assignments early in the classroom? What are the main challenges that you encounter when striving to meet the unique challenges of these high achievers? So sometimes these high achievers are students who are maybe lower level. Sometimes these high achieving students are students that just pay attention and get their work done. And sometimes these students are the students who just really excel. So you have a wide variety of students at many different academic levels, but how do you handle that? And some of the responses was, well, I just have a bunch of early finishers. I have puzzles, I have them read a book, I have them check their grades, and I honestly was doing all of the same stuff too, and I wasn't really getting anywhere with it. Sometimes I would just find them playing games on their computers. And that was really serving no purpose for me as the teacher, for them in their academic careers. And so I wanted to find something a little bit more purposeful. And so I kind of came across this idea of some engaging websites, some sort of assignment that could kind of be ongoing, but it was autonomous, something that they can choose, something that they can kind of keep working on. So I'll kind of introduce that as the presentation continues, and hopefully you can tailor it depending on what your content is. So if you are a science teacher like myself, or a social studies, or a math, or an ELA, or even an art teacher or choir teacher, all of this stuff applies to you as well. All right, so as this presentation continues, this is kind of the objectives and kind of what the outcome of the presentation was supposed to be. So educators will explore enrichment websites and platforms, gain tools to create engaging assignments for early finishers. The focus will be on making assignments meaningful. Educators will learn to assess the impacts of these assignments on student learning. So in Arizona, we actually have EdTech standards. And in this presentation, you're actually covering, or when you're doing this kind of thing with your students, you're actually covering two of them. So one of them is a knowledge constructor. So students critically curate a variety of resources using digital tools to construct knowledge. So they're kind of able to put all of these things together. And the other standard is actually an empowered learner. So students feel empowered when they're able to kind of curate this knowledge and kind of put it all together, and feel like they are in control of their own learning. Okay. So the agenda for this is as follows. Direct instruction, we would discuss challenges of early finishers, the need for engaging tasks, explore some websites, design assignments, assess the impact. During the workshop and discussion, present some curated enrichment websites, discuss the criteria for effective online resources and assessments, Participants are going to explore the websites individually or in groups, discuss the benefits and challenges, and then finally we'll kind of end with questions summarizing the key takeaways. Encourage applying these concepts in your classrooms and any additional resources for exploration. Okay, so embracing the early finisher engagement conundrum. So imagine welcoming a classroom with buzzing full of diverse student activity where each individual learns at their own rhythm. Among them, some students surge forward, completing their assignments ahead of schedule. Herein lies the educator challenge, right? So how can we ensure that these early finishers remain both engaged and immersed in a meaningful learning experiences? So some of them are finishing early, some of them are still working really hard, and some of you are coming up and saying, hey, Miss Braswell, I'm completely finished. What do I do now? And in previous years, I've panicked. I don't know, find something, check your grades, work on other classwork, you have missing assignments, or you don't have missing, I don't have anything missing. I don't know, read a book. So now I have something that the students can always go to, and they can always kind of be engaged and always extend their learning and always keep on challenging themselves. So let's keep on moving forward. So in the presentation during the EdTech conference, these were some questions that I asked the people in the classroom, some of the educators. How were they addressing early finishers? And so then I turned around and answered the same questions myself. So how I addressed early finishers, well, I tried to provide extra worksheets or reading materials for them to work on independently previously. Maintaining engagement, it's a challenge, but I allow students the autonomy to choose their assignments and projects, which does help. Obstacles engagement, limited resources and time make it tough to plan separate activities for early finishers. It is important of tailored activities. I think it is very important, but is not always possible given the time constraints. Planning ahead is absolutely essential in my mind. I like to make a kind of a one-size-fits-all assignment, but within that assignment, I allow the students to kind of tailor it to themselves, and I'll kind of show you what that means in a little while. Concerns about disruption. Yes, there's always worries about that. There's a worry that others might get distracted if early finishers need special attention, of course, but that there's always going to be disruption when it comes to a classroom. It's just something you have to deal with as a teacher, and I'm sure everybody who's watching this understands that. So balancing the challenge. I provide some harder tasks, but it's difficult to kind of strike that right balance and consistency. So yeah, these are my experiences with engaging early finishers. There's always going to be some challenges, but these are things that you work through as an educator and you find what works best for you. So here are some key traits when you are looking for an online early finisher resource. You need to make sure that it's got some sort of interactivity and level of engagement. Seek an interactive feature like quizzes, games, or videos for sustained interest. These students are on their phones, right? They're on their phones all day long. So if you can find something that kind of piques that interest, that kind of relates back to that, it's very, very helpful. Content diversity, so opt for something with varied contents, videos, articles, activities that cater to those diverse learners. So kind of providing that diversity in that area will be very, very helpful. Always make sure that you're trying to align your learning objective to what you're giving them those opportunities, those choices to. Ensure the resources match the curriculum goals for meaningful assignments. There are ways to make it fun. And challenge levels, stimulate critical thinking and go beyond the curriculum. We do need to challenge them. We do need to let them struggle. Struggle is good, struggle is hard, but life is a struggle and they have to learn how to do it in the correct way. And in the classroom where there's help, that's the best way to do it. Some more key traits that you should be looking for is adaptability. So again, if you're trying to make it simple for yourself as a teacher to be able to be like, oh, okay, so-and-so is done with their assignment here. Let me just post this for you really quickly. It needs to be readily adaptable. So customize tasks for these individual needs. Having a real world connection is really important. These kids want to know, why does this matter to me? So relate practical applications for this engagement. This next one is really, really important. Feedback and progress. If they're just doing this and they never see that you actually look at it or pay attention, they're going to stop. They're going to just kind of do whatever they want. They're going to start opening up their games. They're going to just kind of dilly-dally. They're not going to do any of the work that they're not going to put any effort in. So taking the time to give them the feedback, to monitor their progress, is going to show so much. Is going to encourage them to really try, and you're going to see a lot of effort put into these assignments. And always, of course, make sure it's a user-friendly design. We know, growing up in the technical world, whether you grew up with technology or you grew up kind of learning it as it grew on its own, like I did, like going to the computer lab once a month, or it like was actually a part of your everyday life, having an interface that's user friendly is really important. If they don't know where to click, they can't see where to click, and it's hard for you as a teacher to use, it's probably going to be hard for them to use. So choose something that's intuitive, something that they can navigate simply, because if it's not, they're not going to be able to handle it. They are relatively tech savvy, but again, not as much as you would think. So choose your sites and your sources sparingly and be picky.